Hello.
Okay, great. On behalf of MyOutDesk, welcome to the program today. I'm Brian Allen with MyOutDesk, and with me today is Chris Jackson. And Chris has
Hello.
probably the coolest title at MyOutDesk.
Cool.
He's
Okay.
Vice President of Innovation. So Chris, say hello and tell us a little bit about your background.
Hello, I'm Chris. The reason they have me here is because I have a pretty diverse set of skills and different functionalities in different industries, which is designed to help you who would be from different industries. My career starts, I was actually a physicist by education. I did my graduate work designing top secret weapons for the military at a secret lab. And then I designed computer chips for Intel. Then later on, I was a global marketer for Intel and different companies, high-tech companies. Later on, I started two different technology companies, one a hardware company and one a software company in agriculture. Actually, we tracked all the cows statewide in different states to know where everything.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Very valuable resource, and cattle rustling is actually a very big problem. People forget that, but anyway, then I worked in financial services, like Wall Street stuff, overseeing the technology there, which is interesting because a lot of cybersecurity and things like that, because it involves money. And then I arrived here, which is outsourcing, offshoring, and try to apply those different skills in marketing, both at a street level and at a global level, and then being an expert in different technologies, which we'll probably touch on as we move along. How does technology plus the people come together to, provide the best experience for our clients?
Well, guys, Chris and I, at least for today, are going to be your dynamic duo, hopefully. Probably the first five deal with kind of the what, how you can grow your business, how you can reduce cost, how you can improve productivity, focusing on different business outcomes. The second five deal with probably best practices. We've been doing this for about 10 years, 5,000 customers, and we've learned a lot about how to integrate virtual professionals into your organization, and we take more of a blended approach. That's what we're going to focus on throughout the presentation. Actually, this month, April, we're celebrating our 10th year in the virtual professional market, and we're viewed as the market leader in the United States for providing a blended virtual professional approach. We've served 5,000 customers. We've worked with about 4,000 virtual professionals. So we're really happy to be here. The number one thing that I think we want you to learn today, or we want to accomplish, we want to disrupt the way you think about growing your business, because our customers are some of the most innovative and successful businesses out there today across industry. So we'd like to have you look at a virtual professional as a way that you can grow your business, but also reduce the risk and cost associated with hiring in-house staff.
Yeah, I would just add this, like you could be different kinds of businesses where marketing or finding new prospects could be a lower level of task, or it's sort of hit and miss, or it's not very evolved. We can come in and provide the basic tools like market automation, SMS, reaching out, prospecting, all those things. That's going to grow that customer base. Or you could be a company that's very evolved, has these systems already in place, but you're running them internally. Those back-end people are relatively expensive, especially if they're really good. And when they get really good, they sometimes then go look for more higher-paying jobs too. So we provide people who can also run a pretty evolved market automation systems.
Sure, great. Okay, so I just wanted to talk and introduce this idea of a blended model using virtual professionals. So we have virtual professionals who are in various food groups here. We have somebody who could focus on prospecting, inside sales associate or their sales development rep. We have marketing coordinator staff, and we also have administrative staff. So if you look at your organizational chart, and we're going to dive into this in a moment as a best practice, you can kind of evaluate where you could plug in a virtual professional to help you reduce costs, grow your business, do outbound calling. All those are the types of things that our customers do. And as I said, we've been in business 10 years, and some of our earliest customers, they started off with 1 or 2 virtual professionals, and now there are like 20 plus virtual professionals in their organization. They've integrated it in. They're part of their team. They work hand in hand with the in-house staff, and oftentimes they get birthday cards, they get Christmas bonuses, all those types of things. They are part of the organization. So if you look at that blended approach, it's very different than going out to perhaps a talent network and hiring a freelancer who's somebody who's typically not around for the long haul. When you work with MyOutDesk, it's a long-term relationship that we're driving towards.
Well, an Upwork example, we had a client who had tried to use Upwork, and they eventually did find someone, but they had to go through 6 people to find that person, and that was their senior management trying to build up a sales development rep sort of practice within this is a large telecom company. And I think, well, what was the value of these senior leaders to some degree spending a few hours to find and go through the 6 till they get to the 7th, and that was a success maybe.
Sure.
And then you hope they work long term. That is a huge expense. One of the things we're really good at is our placement, where we're searching out the talent in our pool. They're going through. I don't want to lead the next slide.
Yeah, I'm gonna move to
there. That slide. 100 people come in and 2 people come out after all the reviewing. So that saves a ton of time of finding the right person.
Yeah, this is I like to call it one half of our secret sauce, how we acquire talent in our whole FBI grade background checks, employment checks, education checks. And then we do personality profiling too as well. All of our staff that we hire, as you can see, we only hire 2% of those who apply at MyOutDesk, but they go through this process. And that allows you the the whole scalability, because the person that you're going to get can do the job you're asking them to do. The second half of our secret sauce, throughout this 10 years, we've kind of evolved how we partner with our clients. We were also oftentimes more resource-based years ago, where we would provide a resource and the client would be really responsible for what we would call the business outcome statement. We flip that now, where we partner with the client in a way that we focus on business outcomes. An example might be, I want to grow my consultations for my solar business by 50%. So we try to set those metrics up as it pertains to individual virtual professionals, so both sides have an understanding what success is, and that's really important. Our business revolves around you making an investment in that virtual professional, and they add value the longer they're with you. So that's really a really important aspect of measurement for us.
Another thing to add is that once they're on the job, in Upwork, good luck, you got to manage the person. But here we have, a coaching staff and account management staff that's feeding back with those virtual assistants daily or hourly in some cases. So there's a lot of guidance there. It's not just a one-man solution and you throw them on a job. We don't really work like that.
Right. Okay, guys, I'm going to keep this moving along here.
If anyone has questions, please type them in, or else it's just me and Brian.
Okay, that was our company introduction and why we think the virtual professionals and kind of that blended approach makes sense. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through 5 kind of the what's. What are some of the things you should consider? How our successful customers are growing their business, and what are some of their best practices. And then we're going to take a pause and see if we've got any questions. And then we're going to do the last 5. And the last 5 deal with more the how to implement virtual professionals into your organization. It's best practices.
And let me add, so there are 10 in this deck. We might get through 5, but maybe only 1 applies to you listening.
Sure.
And if that's true, we'd love to hear that, because these are 10, some apply for some, maybe only 1 applies to some companies. But if something sparks your interest, we really would like to know about that.
Yeah, and it varies by industry.
It does. It totally does.
Your service-based industry, perhaps outbound calling,
Right.
Neighborhood prospecting, those types of things. If you're, healthcare or medical products, something completely different might apply. Or you might really have a strong need just for administrative support. So it varies.
I got an example.
Yep.
So you could do traditional, outbound marketing where you're trying to reach that prospect and pull them in. People usually understand that, touch them once, twice, 3 times, email, SMS, phone calls. But some of our larger clients, enterprise level clients, they don't market that way. It's very relationship based, network based. And so they wouldn't want our people to just be calling people, but they can use our people to help build that relationship, set up different appointments, have the senior sales guy meeting with their network of agents, and because that's where their business is going to come from in that relationship. So there's a case where expand your thoughts on what could work for your own business as it stands for however you work.
Well, let's go to the first one here, and this is one I absolutely love and believe in. It deals with your benchmarking your lead response time. And maybe you have some chat on your web, or you have a web inquiry form or a phone number that people call. And there's a group called the Lead Response Management Group, and they did a study at MIT. And they found that if you did not respond to a lead inquiry within a minute versus 5 minutes, it was 100 times more likely if you responded in a minute that you would be able to set an appointment. Now that's a big deal because a lot of you people are a lot of people on the phone now. You're investing in your demand generation engine, and if you're not getting proper response, you're wasting money. And virtual professionals can kind of expand that window. Maybe they work some of the off hours early or late or whenever you want to do, whatever coverage your business needs. But it's important that you benchmark those responses for your business. My wife thinks I'm crazy because I sit at home at night and I'm watching television with her. And I'm on Comcast, and the local solar guys Spotlight ad runs. Spotlight allows you to from Comcast, it kind of allows you to micro-target a neighborhood or a zip code. So I'll pick up the phone and I'll dial the number that they have, and 9 times out of 10, I'll get voicemail because it's 7 o'clock at night and they don't have anyone manning the phone. And frankly, that's just wasting money. You're spending money on Comcast and you're not getting the proper return because you haven't manned that campaign properly. So I would I'll have our guys send you this link to the study, but if you spend 5 minutes and you kind of scan through it, it's pretty eye-opening how important this is. I
got another one, Brian. So I wanted to get fake lawn in my front yard because I got a bunch of kids.
What's fake lawn?
Like artificial turf, but it's really fancy. It's not like AstroTurf anymore. It's really fancy. So I got a bunch of kids and they just stomp all the grass and it dies. But so I went on Home Advisor, which is a web page, and they advertise out there and asking, who does this in my neighborhood. I didn't realize it was a lead generation machine. They give you some info, but they sell that lead as soon as they can. And I had all these people calling me, and they did, but they were days later. And I thought, wow, they invested in that homeadvisor.com lead generation machine and then didn't call for a week. And by that time, I had either made decisions, and it was a total loss for them. In fact, Home Advisor doesn't work very well. Yelp works better if you're looking for that service. There's another example.
I had the same experience. Guys, I just recently moved out to California, and I was looking for somebody to ship my car. So I went to one of these sites to say, hey, get an estimate for shipping a car. And it was like I had a couple call right away, but then over a period of a week to 10 days, people began to call, and I'm like, what in the world is with this?
Same thing. They called over the next 2 weeks sporadically, and I just thought, wow, they must be making so much money. They just don't really need it.
The other aspect besides, performance, revenue performance is customer's first impression of your business. Is your customer journey going to be a positive one and a positive experience? Mm-hmm. And a virtual professional can certainly help you with that. Okay, I'm going to go to number 2. Anything else on this one? Yep.
I'm good.
Okay, good. Pretty much a similar situation, but if your business is, I used the solar company or service industry example, you can really grow your business rapidly with ISAs or inside sales associates who focus on prospecting. So if you're a solar company or a roofing company and you just closed or did a roof or did a new solar system in a neighborhood, you can have your ISA plug in to that neighborhood and do circle prospecting. And all of our ISAs are typically equipped with a CRM, power dialer, and market data.
Brian, what is circle dialing?
Well, circle dialing is pretty easy. You can, in these products, you target a neighborhood and you can expand the circle out in any manner to include prospects who would be in that neighborhood. Okay. So you're able to do that in the same fashion. I think that answers it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my stock question.
Okay. Well, your neighbors see that you have the solar truck over there.
Got a truck there with the sign on front, and you're doing roofing, who knows what, and yeah, that makes sense because that's. In the same
manner, let's say you have a cosmetic surgery practice.
I love this one.
Okay, so since I'm an old guy, people older than 55 in this neighborhood with this income, you're gonna have an outbound calling script and campaign for them. So it depends on your business, and we just have amazing people who do prospecting. They're so good. Chris and I manage a group today of about 9 prospecting professionals. We call them sales development reps, and they do all the outbound calling, all the appointment setting, and they're just a machine, a real machine. Okay, similar outbound calling. This isn't looking for new people for the top of the funnel, but these are people that you've talked to before that maybe you've got some new product lines that you want to reach out to your customer or check in on your customer if they need anything, or you had prospects in your funnel that might have gone cold. So you had a proposal out for solar to somebody in the neighborhood and you want to check in with them to see how they're doing, if they still would have interest in kind of doing that proposal. Our ISAs can help you do that too.
How would I use software to nurture those?
Well, we've got, that's one of the things we do with our virtual professionals. We can have them integrate with your existing systems, which really, during the onboarding process, it's a requirement in the relationship that you do some training if you're going to use your own internal systems, if you're using a CRM or if you're using some type of customer support system. But we also are able to tech enable all of our virtual professionals based on their job function. So our ISA staff, we provide power dialer, we provide market data, and we provide a CRM. So those are, and that's essential for them to be successful because otherwise they won't. And it's just going to be a waste of your time and investment in ISA. So that's really important.
Let me throw this in there because we see such a broad range of different kinds of customers, different kinds of industries. CRM, customer relationship management software. We do see people who don't have it or even really know what it is, but it's basically a Rolodex. It's an old style Rolodex on a computer, but it gets more advanced because you can marry it up to an email automation system, a text messaging system, and it can register when those contacts are looking at your webpage. What are they looking at your webpage? What emails are they opening? And inside the software, that score is going up and up. And so the caller, the inside sales associate or the sales development rep will monitor the scores, and then they'll know who to call next. It'll be the next hottest lead.
Yeah, a lot of our customers do that, and I'll give you another example of why. It also has to that lead response. A lot of our customers are beginning to use a little more advanced marketing automation in that they'll put trackers on key pages on their website. So if they have a prospect going to the website and checking out solar pricing or whatever, and they go to key pages, that will increment the scoring for that individual. And sometimes there's something called what is called an interesting moment. Let's say you have a customer who you've had a proposal out to, and they go to your website and they go to the pricing page 2 times or 3 times in a day. That will alert a staff member to immediately do an outbound call to those individuals. So you get that whole aspect of monitoring the behavior of your key prospects. And we can obviously, an ISA can get an alert. They can make the call and say, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, what can I help you with? I know she spent some time. Can we help you with and get you connected with some of our key staff for a consultation? So all that stuff's there. It's super important, though, that you have that point in time person available. Well, we were already started to talk about this. Chris has got a marketing background. I actually have a marketing background too. I had recently worked for the top-rated marketing automation company in the world, and that's Marketo in San Mateo, California. And marketing is one of the most amazing things because there's so much innovation going on in marketing right now because of mobile marketing, the web, inbound marketing, outbound marketing with social media. But it's really, really hard to implement it. And it's there's a lot of failures in when you implement, state-of-the-art marketing systems like even off-the-shelf marketing systems. And with this whole idea of a blended approach, frankly, this is what we did at MyOutDesk too. We implemented Marketo. We brought in a very good outside consultant that set up that whole demand generation engine. And once the engine was set, it just operates. And it typically operates based on marketing campaigns and content. So our entire marketing team is our virtual professionals that Chris and I work with on a daily basis. And they create the content based on Chris and my input. They manage this whole webinar. We do webinars about once a week. All those things can be done by virtual professionals at a fraction of the cost of having an in-house marketing organization. And it's not that we have completely done it with virtual professionals because it's a blended approach because Chris and I provide input and we've got others who are on staff at MyOutDesk adding input to it. But marketing's great, but it's tough. But if you take an approach of implementing with an outside contractor and then bringing in a blended marketing team, it reduces a lot of the risk and also much of the cost because Chris mentioned earlier, because oftentimes when you train up or get good marketing staff in-house, they unfortunately move on sometimes to new opportunities because their value starts to increase. Mm-hmm. So what about that, Chris?
Well, I got another interesting story, semi-related, or maybe it just entertains me, so I like to tell it. But it does fit in, and that is, so Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, he was in front of Congress last week. A lot of the questions revolved around, do you own the data or do you not? And Facebook always says, you own the data, Mr. People. And the senators go, so I own it? Can I? But I think what they're getting at is Facebook makes money off of the data, and that's ownership. You're making ownership off of someone else's property then. So it's kind of interesting, the two people talking different languages. But I bring that up because some of these systems are so advanced. And the thing I wanted to talk about was how Microsoft and LinkedIn, Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and there you have a CRM in Microsoft, a data source in LinkedIn, and a way where you can then reach out to your contacts, find resources for your contacts in a really advanced sort of way. Our tools probably don't reach that far in most cases, but I want to tie it down to things people see. They see, Congress, and they see these trials or whatever it is, and some of the tools that are out there, because I want to give people the impression that it's not just, I'm hiring someone who can make dials or get a prospect list or follow a script. It's a lot more advanced than that these days, and a lot more successful and a lot more efficient cost-wise. So there's my roundabout story that ties some of those things that we do together.
Yeah, but marketing is amazing, and it can really impact your business if you can get it going properly, but it also can drag you down if you get stuck in that whole implementation quagmire. So this is a way to help you get there without all the risk in it, in our opinion.
And trying to drive one of the systems I just described, why would you do that if you're trying to do your day job? It would be really complicated.
Yeah. You don't want to be a systems integrator. You just want to grow your business.
Or a PhD in data analytics or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the other thing The last one on the what's that what are the 5 what hacks that are with virtual professionals deals with your brand and referral marketing. For certain businesses, referral marketing is really super important. Maybe it's a service-based business if you're a contract, or if you're in the solar business. And we actually have our MyOutDesk has a huge referral business, because typically we'll sign a new account and we'll get 2 or 3 referrals from that new account of friends who have other businesses, or brothers or brother-in-laws that have a business. So it's pretty important. It's also pretty labor intensive for you or your staff to do a lot of work in blog posts and outreaches and social media. I'll give you a great example. We've got a customer, she has a real estate practice. She does her entire demand generation process is she does referral-based marketing events once a month, and she's super clever. She calls them I love you a latte. So she invites about 100 people. I shouldn't say she invites.
Yeah, she invites. She doesn't invite.
Her virtual professionals organizes for her monthly. And they get about 100 plus people, 100 to 130 people that show up at Friday at 5 o'clock at the local pub, and they have coffee and wine and beer, and they serve some hors d'oeuvres. And other people that are invited are like local charities like the dog shelter and food banks. And then she also invites complimentary vendors like contractors and real estate, I should say mortgage professionals and other people. And it's a big group of people just get together, and she calls it the big group hug, the monthly group hug. But she has a drawing, and I forget what she gives away. It's like an Amazon gift card or something like that. And people put referrals into a little box, and then they pick a winner, and that person gets the prize. But she gets about 30 listing referrals per month at these events, which is just insane, because she says it costs her about $1,000 to do a month. But her virtual professionals orchestrate that entire process, and she'd never have time to do this monthly and do her other job.
So she leverages that VA or her team of VAs.
Yeah, she is actually a team. Yeah.
By about 100x. It's more than 100x that she's earning off of the cost of the virtual assistant.
Oh yeah, no,
it's over 100x.
It's like a machine.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a machine.
She has a really sharp. It sounds kind of goofy sometimes when you describe it, like, oh, you held coffee at a shop. It's like, no, it's way more advanced than that. You're having the VAs organize it. They're doing the calls. They're doing the invites. They're inviting the charities and the mortgage professionals. She shows up. She collects a bunch of prospects.
We've got a video on our website, I think, of how she does it. If you go out to YouTube and just Google I love you a latte, you'll see she's out there, and she's actually there's some video of the actual live events. They're so cool, and the people are having so much fun too. So her brand is, she wants to be a key member of the community, so she invites all of these different aspects of her community in Washington State. I think she's just outside of Seattle, but very cool stuff. Mm-hmm. But super innovative on her use of social media in referral marketing and using VAs or virtual professionals to support that. We had one question, and it revolved around cost. And our pricing is open on our website, so you can go out there. But just to give you an idea, the monthly cost from a budgeting standpoint is for a virtual professional in any of the different flavors, prospecting, marketing coordination, admin is $1,747 per month. So, we actually think that's a tremendous value, mainly because the economy is starting to pick up now. It's really hard to find and hire in-house staff. And obviously, these are full-time for your business. They're independent contractors that work for you, but you don't have we handle all the benefits and all the HR for the virtual professionals, and you don't have to mess with that. And then it's a straight write-off on your taxes for the expense. One thing I did mention, we have a version of our products or our solutions. We've got Mod, which is the virtual professional. And then we have Mod Plus, which is and I'll talk about this in a moment, but it's the tech-enabled virtual professional. So we bundle technology, and that's available at like a couple $100 more per month. With the tech bundle, it's $19.95 per month, but that includes, a CRM, marketplace data, a dialer if you need that, and some other tools we feel that are essential virtual professionals to be successful.
So let me dive into that a little bit. So in the case where I gave earlier on examples of, there are companies that don't have any tools, maybe even don't know some of the terminology. Nothing wrong with that because they're earning money doing what they do. But if they want to enable a VA, don't have the tools already in place, we provide those. And so we also have, a training staff behind those. Because if you were to go out on your own and say, well, I need a CRM and a marketing automation tool, most people would say, I have no clue. Do I got to hire a consultant to do that? You would have to hire a consultant at very high dollar, $10,000 and on up. Here, you bring along a VA with the Mod Plus solution. They already have these basic tools which do all the things that we've kind of mentioned.
I had one question up here. Do we do part-time VAs for VPs? Yes and no. The first virtual professional that you contract with us needs to be full-time. We do allow our customers, after they have the relationship with a full-time professional, to potentially contract with one or more part-time. And they may be doing that, as I said, to cover different time zones and slots.
And also, I think the part-time, and this is a common question because people think, well, I could see putting 10 hours a week on a person like this, maybe 20, so maybe part-time. Natural question. What we've found over time is two things. One, they cannot build such a strong relationship with that business, and we want them to know you are here, you work for them, and you must do everything you can to make them successful. And it becomes a difficult message and guidance and vision if they're trying to do that to two companies.
Cool. Hey, before I forget, we're going to move forward and do the last 5 hacks. Hopefully, if we have enough time to get through, I think we will.
Know what it was.
Okay, go ahead.
Many people, because I see this all the time, I got 10 hours, 20 hours. But when we show them all our process, documentation, and guidelines of other things they could do, we'll use that latte lady. Let's say she didn't do that, but we came along and said, well, have you thought of a program that does X, Y, or Z? Often the business has not, or they could add to it. And we have long lists and documentation of because this is more for the coaching for the VA. Sometimes a business owner won't even say, oh, I demand you do more and more, but our coaches are behind the scenes watching the clock, watching what they're doing, and saying, hey, you could be more productive if you do these things. So they have a lot of coaching that they'll push onto the virtual professional.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Good point. So we're going to try to run through the last 5, and the last 5 have to deal with best practices for onboarding or planning for virtual professionals in this kind of blended approach we spoke of. And the way we work with our customers, we do a business growth strategy. And we focus on what you're trying to accomplish and what the business outcomes are going to be. And if you want to sign up for that, if you text the word mod VP to 555-888, we'll get you scheduled for that. So that's your call. You can do that now, or you can do it whenever. But I'm gonna move on right now.
Hold on. The question is, what are the advantages of using a virtual assistant versus an in-house assistant? And we do see that one a lot too. Number one is the cost. The cost could be 50 to 70% lower. Now, then the answer is, well, but I can't see them in the office. So there's that sort of objection or difficulty some businesses have to overcome. Now, those who do overcome it, and they know, yeah, I'm leveraging this virtual assistant. I can see them all the time on the screen, on email, on text, on phone, all the time.
Sure.
If you step back and think about it, if I'm in an office, I mean, Brian sits near me, but I could easily go the whole day without seeing him. And sometimes we'll even do a video chat, even though I could throw a rock at his desk from here. If they can embrace it. Now, here's one thing I will say, culturally speaking, all our people come from the Philippines. The culture, and this is important, the culture is warm. If we're talking about customer service and we're talking about prospecting new leads, I'm American. The Philippines culture is warmer than American, and that is going to be better. And
they're awesome
they are.
They're awesome people. I ran up large SDR or inside sales organizations in my previous role. And the team that we have and the people that our customers get, they'll run circles around the team that I had. And I was, unfortunately it was in the Silicon Valley and we were paying, $60,000, $70,000, base because there's such a short supply. The getting back to the benefits is cost is one of it, but it's very risky to hire people right now because the labor supply is kind of hit and miss. And, you're not having to pay benefits. You're not having to handle all the HR.
Taxes, payroll.
Right. So there's a tremendous value proposition, but it's only a great value proposition if you get the return on the investment. And that's why we wanted to kind of dive into how do you do this? How do you capture business outcomes? And what's the best way to proceed to see where you're going to get the biggest return, maybe in your initial phase of growth versus your second phase of growth. So
Also, sometimes we try our best to place the right person with the right company, the right fit, not just the task, but also personalities. We do personality testing with our virtual professionals, but occasionally it doesn't work. I mean, of course not. We also have a process. Well, can we change the virtual professional to someone else? And we do that.
Sure.
It doesn't happen a lot, but naturally that's going to happen occasionally. So those are things, if you hired an in-house person, well, now what are you going to do? You're going to have a whole disposition plan and a new hire. That is a lot of money.
Yeah, I talked about this earlier. We utilize something called a leverage inventory. And that gives you kind of a bird's eye view of where you can best utilize a virtual professional. And really what happens, and a lot of people call it the sticky challenge. And that's like you take a Post-it note. If you get a key staff member, that person walks around and writes down what they do and how much time they spend on it. And then they put it into these quadrants. Now and I'm a revenue guy, so I focus on revenue. So this could be different for your company, but I need to when I do my job, I want to be focusing on dollar productive activities because that's how I get measured in my role to the company. There's a lot of things that unfortunately all of us have to do that could get mapped out or turned over to your virtual professional to help you become more productive in your core job function. So the sticky challenges allows you to kind of inventory where your staff is keeping their time. And we talked about the solar company that Chris and I talked to a couple weeks back. The office manager was spending way too much time on paperwork, and just a simple administrator that she's training was able to offload about 50% of her work week so she could focus on the things that were really super important to their solar business.
Let me dive into that one real quick because this. So what was the paperwork? What it was tax incentives because it's a solar company, so it's how they get paid. And there are many businesses that could have
building permits too. We're on there.
Right.
And other things. Yeah.
Right. And as you look internally and say, oh, what? I never really considered some paper like that, business permit or building permit. These things may arise, and that would, if you tell us those, that would help us, even if, go ahead.
So this is I'd call it a best practice to kind of get an idea of where your staff is spending time. For me, or if you're the owner of a business, you typically know what that is for yourself, but you might not for some of your key staff members. And this is a good way to kind of identify where they might need help. Sure.
So when I see leverage and inventory, I think leverage, no, that's like debt, right? Because if you're highly leveraged, you have debt. And then inventory is the things I sell on the shelf. So how am I'm getting debt for? So I was hassling Brian because I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
No, but so it's just the inventory of time in the day. If I inventory my time in the day, figure out where I'm wasting it based on this chart.
I think our CEO Daniel loves this, and he's the best person to explain it. But
yeah. That's why it's in our deck, because it's part of.
Well, it's important too. It is important.
It makes sense. I just want
time is the most valuable commodity you have, and
go ahead.
If you're spending time on something you're essentially paying someone else $10 an hour to do, and your dollar productive activities are, $1,000 an hour, you're not paying yourself enough. Okay. You should be working on the things that are important to growing the business and not items that you can outsource.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a way you can look at that and get your time back so you can focus.
Going back to the latte person, if
Yep.
she had to run all the social media, the email campaigns, the invites, the telephone calls, I mean, she'd be working at way below minimum wage,
Yeah.
wasting her time, and she can leverage her time of day inventory so much better with.
So we'll have a link for this too, so you can download a kit that kind of guides you through doing one of these leverage inventories as part of the. Okay, this one's really important, and we might have to kind of wrap after this one, but we're at 10 minutes to the hour. The way we work with our customers and the way we would recommend, even if you work with another vendor where you're going to bring somebody in, is focus on business outcomes. So all of us, if you bring in somebody that you want to help kind of grow your business, and let me dive right into that. These are the 5 areas that we focus on for business outcomes. The obvious one is revenue, employee productivity. You want to reduce cost if at all possible. You want to improve the quality of your service or product. And you want to improve your customer experience or your journey. So an example, what we do is we capture, when we do these consultations with our customers, if they want to bring virtual professionals on, we work with them on how they're going to be measured. So there's an object of control. It really defines what's measured, a unit of measurement, and then a contextual clarifier. So example would be let's look at our solar company. So I'm the owner of a solar company, and my business is very consultation focused, because I know if I get a consultation, I have a 35% probability I'll close that into real business. So I want to increase my consultations by 50% year over year, and I'm going to contract with Mod to bring in 2 ISAs, inside salespeople, who are going to do prospecting and circle dialing in neighborhoods. So that's an example of a business outcome statement that we would work with a customer to create. And the reason that's so critical or important is that allows the virtual professional to understand how they're being measured, but it also understands, so Mod and our customers understand what success means. So we all understand what success is. And many of our customers they'll start a relationship with us, and they'll have a first phase of growth, and maybe they'll focus on revenue, but their second phase of growth focuses on scaling that revenue growth, but might focus on productivity. So some of the key staff members who were, maybe it's a service-based business, are much more productive because they're offloading some of their non-critical tasks to their virtual professional. So as they grow, they need additional capacity. This is pretty important, and it's actually unique to our company that we work in that respect. As I mentioned previously, we focused on just delivering great staff without coming up with an outcome statement that we kind of mutually agree is a doable thing.
It's bold, because there's no other company that's going to say, sure, that's my goal, revenue growth 50%, put real numbers on it, real objectives for that VA. You're not going to get that at Upwork. You're going to get that at any company, because it's risky, but we believe we do it. So, and we do.
Yeah, no, we do it. Our customers are wildly successful. We've just done a better job of quantifying the relationship now. And it's good for the virtual professionals too, because they like having metrics in place.
Right.
Yeah. We think we're probably that partner. We're pretty proud of the company. We've had great success, but we've been doing this for 10 years because we understand what those success factors need to be. And we have it's a joint partnership. We focus that you as a business manager or a business owner really need to provide the leadership in your organization to make sure that your virtual professional that is assimilated in the organization. Our approach is really that blended model, and they need your support in order to assimilate properly. The second thing they need is they're going to need some clear training and communication based on the role. So there's lesser of that with an ISA or an inside sales rep. But if you're bringing in somebody to help your office manager run some key systems, your office manager has to make that commitment to train that person. We have an onboarding team that works with your staff and with the virtual professionals to make sure that 90-day launch happens. So the third thing really deals with, you have to have systems and tools. It's a requirement on our side that our inside sales associates or ISAs, we will not place them unless we know they have either your systems or our systems in place, because it's so critical for an ISA especially to be tech enabled. So these are three things that we think are kind of a readiness check for your organization to make sure you're successful, this blended model that we have, which is unique in the marketplace.
I have a final pitch.
Yep.
So the reason I like working here is because of the people I work with, the warmness of all our virtual professionals in the Philippines. They are great to work with. I'm really happy. And the reason I chose coming here in the beginning was I don't like to promote it, but it is important to know. It gives you a flavor of what kind of company this is. We think we can help you and we will do everything we can. But in the Philippines, like company, we fund an orphanage for street kids. And I heard that before I started working here. I thought, that's where I want to work. I want to go there. And I would hope that would, if you're in the audience, that gives you an idea of, oh, that's, it's not just a business trying to get my dollar, give me the product and that kind of thing. It does have a deeper mission. And that comes, like from our CEO on down, and everyone kind of believes the same thing. So if you liked what you heard, tell your friends. That would really help us, help you, help them, whatever. So that's my final pitch.
Okay, I wanted to thank the audience for your attendance here today, because Chris and I are pretty loose. I hope it wasn't too loose, but we hope it was of great value. We think we can provide you a great service. And if you would like to have a strategy session with our guys, just text MAUD VP to 555-888. Okay, thanks guys. We're going to sign off.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.